guys, it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for tonight's video, we're going to be reading some more scary stories. As per usual, I have my wicked candle in here, making the home smell like caramel apples. So if you guys have noticed, I have been gone for the majority of December. I was sick and I could not film. I couldn't really do anything. So I posted a bunch of updates on my community tab so you guys could keep up to date as to why I wasn't filming. But if you weren't following my community tab, I was sick basically all throughout December. So I could not film because I got the dreaded sickness that we all went through in 2020 and it kicked my ass. So I am better now and I am ready to film. I have a bunch of stories here saved from Reddit and just saved on my phone. So I'm just going to read a bunch of just random stories that I have saved. So this one is from the Spoopy Cjades section. It is from the Reddit author SummersMatt14 and it's titled Demon House on Cumington Avenue. My name is Matt and I've had a couple paranormal experiences when I was little, but nothing quite like this house. I live in the state of Ohio. You know, the state with a bunch of small rural towns, and nothing exciting ever happens. I had been living with my dad and my grandma since I was young and throughout high school. My grandmother and I didn't seem to get along, especially once I started dating this girl back then that she didn't care for. She ended up crossing the line one day, calling my then girlfriend a really awful name, and I couldn't take living there anymore. I called my mom, who lived an hour away, and the same day I asked her if it would be okay if I moved in with her and her boyfriend. Lived in a small one-bedroom house at the time, but they agreed to let me stay with them. I packed up my stuff and I made the trip over. After the holiday, I realized they needed to get a better place for all of us. They found a 3-bedroom house for rent and on the other side of town on Cumington Avenue. Immediately, things started getting strange. On the very first day of moving our stuff into the house, my sister, who was back home from college in the summer, heard her name being called after only a few minutes of stepping a foot in the house. She asked my mom if she had called her name, to which she replied, no. My sister just thought she was hearing things, but a few days later, after settling into the new house, my sister was in the shower upstairs where she and I shared a bathroom. She then heard her name being called again. This time, it came from right outside of the shower. It was a male's voice, and my sister was seeing black masses or shadows in the short hallway upstairs leading to our bedroom and inside of her room, and also at the foot of her bed a few times as she was walking into her room. Not too long after living there, we all began to notice a moldy, musty smell coming from the basement door. So I decided to go down there to check it out with my sister and her boyfriend at the time to explore. Previous tenants had moved out and we found it creepy how there was a bunch of their belongings down there that they didn't bother to take with them. My girlfriend at the time came to visit quite often and stayed in my room with me. She had a couple of small paranormal experiences when she was little, but grew up to be kind of a skeptic. One Saturday morning, I got up to get ready for work and I had the morning shift and I had to be there at 4 a.m. Shortly after I left that morning, she was trying to go back to sleep. And as she was drifting off, she heard 3 knocks on my bedroom door. My sister was already back at college at this point, and no one was upstairs with her. She froze, not wanting to get up to check, and not too long after, she fell back asleep. A few hours later, when she woke back up, she went downstairs and asked my mom if she had been upstairs at the time, and my mom told her they hadn't been upstairs at all. That freaked her out, since 3 knocks usually means demonic activity. A couple of months went by, and it was about a week before my 22nd birthday. My girlfriend had surprised me with tickets to go see Kevin Hart on his What Now comedy tour in Dayton, and we had a blast that night. I haven't laughed that hard since I don't know when. The morning after, we went out for brunch at Bob Evans, and I started feeling off. Later on that day, but I wasn't sure if I was getting sick or if it was something that I ate. I went to work on Tuesday morning like normal, and my schedule was a Tuesday through Saturday schedule, and I started feeling like I was about to pass out. I left work and I went home to rest. A few hours went by and I developed a high fever that stayed around 104 degrees for 2 days and a very nasty cough. I was trying to wait it out, thinking it was just the flu, but on Thursday, I got up to stretch my legs and use the bathroom, and my pee was brown. That's when I realized something was truly wrong. I called my mom since she was at the garage sales and told her I needed to go to the hospital. She didn't know how serious it was until she saw me barely able to walk to the car. We got to the hospital and went straight to the ER. They put me in a wheelchair right away and checked on my vitals. My heart rate was around 190 and I was severely dehydrated and needed to be put on fluids. They got me hooked to IVs, gave me fluids, and did more testing. It turned out I had a bacterial pneumonia, a UTI, and tachycardia. I was quickly admitted, and I was there for 5 days. My girlfriend stayed with me for as long as she could the whole weekend that I was there. On my second day, they almost sent me to the ICU because I wasn't getting better. By the third day, the 5 different medications they were giving me through IVs were finally doing their job and making me feel somewhat better, that I was able to stay awake more often. My oxygen was still kind of low, and they kept me on oxygen for a little while longer, and I had to do breathing exercises to strengthen my lungs back. The time had come for me to be released from the hospital on Tuesday around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. After having chest x-rays taken, my lungs were clear, and I was ready to go home with medication. After another week or so, I was able to go back to work, and I felt a little more normal. I seriously believe that the demonic energy in the house was what caused me to get very sick and drained all my energy, as it didn't affect anyone else in the household. Other occurrences happened, like feeling watched from the stairs when we were in the living room, and her boyfriend hearing a lady's voice whispering inaudibly in their ears at night. To me, feeling a presence upstairs when I was in my room. My sister's closet happened to be the coldest room in the house, even in the summertime, and her room had the most activity. I believe there had to be someone who did something sinister inside that closet before we moved in. We did have the house blessed, and it worked for a little while, but then the activity slowly started back up again. Another strange thing is every time the landlord's wife came to collect rent, once a month, she would ask if anything unusual had been happening, like she knew something was going on, and my mom would always tell her everything was fine. She didn't want to give the lady any satisfaction or give her any indication that we knew it was haunted. My girlfriend and I decided to move out in August of the next year after finding an apartment in Salina. A few weeks later, I called my mom, and she told us that my sister had woken up in the middle of the night to get something to drink downstairs and saw an old man in the kitchen who we believe was the landlord's father who had died in the house. She didn't show it any fear and just got her water and was making her way back to the stairs when she looked back and the man disappeared. My mom and her then boyfriend moved soon after that to get away from all of the activity. Thank you so much for reading, and I apologize for this being so long. Oh my God, that's a lot of activity that's happening in that house. You getting really sick, I'm not entirely sure if that really is related to your paranormal activity, but it definitely could be. That's really, really scary. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad that everything worked out and you guys moved, but holy crap, that is super freaking creepy. Thank you so much for allowing me to read that story. I don't like that at all. That is absolutely terrifying. The next story that I want to read is from the Paranormal Encounters section. It is from the Reddit author The Vampy, and it's titled Paranormal Entity ? I moved into an apartment with my wife about 6 months ago. There has been a progressive amount of events that have taken place, and we are not really sure what it could be. For some background, I'm agnostic. My wife practices witchcraft, and my wife has a hidden altar that looks like a small closet built in the wall. Since moving in, there's always been this odd energy in the air. Notably, our cats were terrified for weeks. Maybe not odd, because cats hate change and usually take a while to adapt to a new location. The odd part is that they would just sit in the door and stare into the darkness for hours. To this day, they are not comfortable or relaxed unless me and my partner are in the same room as them. Then it started happening. Me and my wife, at different times, started to see a humanoid shadow, usually standing in the doorway or the archway into the kitchen. I have insomnia as well, and sometimes I get out of bed and go into my office so I don't disturb my wife. She has told me that several times she has woken up and still felt that someone was in bed, only to find out I wasn't there. I thought this was a little crazy until it happened to me. I woke up and I felt like my wife was curled up behind me. I believed she was still in bed, and I even rolled over to kiss her, only to find the bed completely empty. I cannot express how strongly I felt that my wife was present that night. She was in the office after not being able to sleep herself. There was one night that we were laying in bed, and at the end of the bed, the springs popped, and it sounded like someone either stepped onto the bed or that they sat up on the bed. Mind you, the bed is a hybrid and very new, so I don't believe it was a matter of a spring getting stuck. Another night, as we were watching a movie with the door open, the cats were laying down with us in the office. In the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow moving quickly towards the bathroom and out of view. Odd, I thought. Maybe I was just seeing things. I looked back at my wife, and she was pale. She asked me if I was okay because I looked pale as well, then proceeded to tell me that they saw a shadow figure standing in front of her altar. then quickly moved towards the bathroom. I admitted to her that I had seen the same thing. We were both scared and had to leave the apartment to get out for a little while. When we returned, things were calm. Later in that week, I used the restroom, washed my hands, and closed the door. As I walked towards my room, the bathroom door made an opening sound and creaked open. I quickly got back into bed and I went to sleep. Me and my partner have continued to see the bathroom door open and close, and we have heard loud crashes and bangs when our cats are sitting in the same room as us. This apartment is older and was built in the early 70s. Even though my wife is a witch and practices witchcraft, they have not practiced for several months. Could this be someone that died, something angry at my wife's altar, or maybe something else? It doesn't seem dangerous, and for the most part we ignore it and try not to give it attention. It's also odd to me that it seems to always be in doorways. Thanks, I know this is a long post, but I thought someone would be interested or have some advice for me. Oh my God, that's really creepy. I have no advice for you other than the fact that maybe you guys should move. That is absolutely terrifying. I do think that maybe it is related to your wife's altar, but I can't say for sure. That is just really, really, really creepy. And I'm curious if you have any more updates or if that has ever stopped. So I'm gonna check because this was posted about 27 days ago. So let's go see if they have any updates. They don't have any more posts, so they don't have any updates. I will let you guys know if you guys are interested if they do update their post, but so far they don't have any updates, so I don't actually know if it's still happening, but that is really freaking creepy, and I don't like that at all. The next one that I'm going to read is not so much a paranormal story, but it's titled, People Are Scarier Than Anything Paranormal. This is from the True Scary Story section, and it's from the Reddit author ColaLife4089. This is a true story of something I experienced. It must have been over a decade by now. I was a kid at the time, and my dad had bought this quaint house on the outskirts of a little town. It was a decently sized home with a big backyard overlooking the marshes and unused farmers' fields. The only entrance to it was either through the house or across the large field. To put into context how this fits into the story was because my bedroom at the time of living with my dad was situated at the back of the house, facing the backyard. I remember one night very vividly, some 12 years later. I was sitting in my room doing digital artwork on my computer. It was something I loved to do as a teenager, and usually I'd listen to music with headphones on. The way I was sitting had me facing semi away from the big window in my room, the largest in the house. I had my blackout blinds drawn, and it was the only room in the entire house that had the light on, and I assumed from outside you'd see silvers of light through the edges of the folding blinds. I think it was between 2:30 and 3 a.m. when this happened. I was peacefully minding my own business when I heard a massive slam on my window. It was a dull but loud thud, and what I thought was a shout. My dad was sleeping peacefully in his room next to me, and how he didn't hear anything at the time still amazes me to this day. I remember just sitting there, no clue what I just heard, until it happened again. I heard it clear. Somebody was outside my window in the backyard. Whoever this was had no reason to be there. I remember being too scared to open my blinds. Instead, I got up and I just stared at the window, not taking my eyes off of it. Something I'm thankful for to this day was I went with my gut feeling. My gut was telling me to grab a flashlight and to check the front door. This was an old house, so I would have to leave the comfort of the house to enter the barn to get to the main entrance of the house. I remember shining my light through the glass in the door, and the window had the frosted film for privacy. But sure enough, I barely got the flashlight lifted 3 or 4 inches to the glass before seeing the coat of whoever was out there. The real kicker, absolute terror set in when I realized the door hadn't been locked this entire time. I managed to lock it and run inside, and the first thing I grabbed was a bread knife. Not very practical, but when your adrenaline and fear is coursing through your brain, it's the last thing you think of. I remember trying to wake up my dad, who was passed out like a drunk sailor, to see whoever was outside. We never found the man, and he never came back. Had I not locked that door, prank or not, I dread to think what have happened to me. I've seen some shit in my life, but people will forever scare me the most. And that's their entire story. So I'm glad nothing actually happened to you and it was just like somebody was like fucking around on the outside of your house. But that's really creepy and I hate that. And it sucks that your dad was like passed out, that he couldn't really help you other than the fact that like you finally got him awake and then you guys looked for this man. But like still, that's really creepy, especially in like a rural area. You don't really have any neighbors. There's just like a large ass scary farmer's field. And there's just a weird person lurking about in the dark. That's super creepy. And the fact that your guys' door was unlocked is even creepier. But thank you so much for allowing me to read that story. I'm glad nothing actually happened to you, but this is where I'm going to end the video because we are at the 16-minute mark and I need to edit this and upload it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm so sorry for being gone for the majority of December. I was really hoping to do some more Christmas videos, but I really could not. I was so sick and I am finally feeling better. So I hope I can start filming 2 to 3 videos a week for you guys again and get back on my train of creating content. But for now, I'm gonna take it easy and I'm slowly gonna get back into it because I definitely still have a little bit of symptoms, but I do feel better now. But you can probably tell with my voice, I do sound a little bit sick still, but I'm hoping that it goes away. This is actually my first time getting the dreaded sickness, and I'm hoping that there is no lasting side effects. I did lose my taste though, and that sucked. That was a horrible week. But this is where I'm gonna end the video. If you guys have any scary stories that you wanna share with me, please feel free to either reach out over Instagram or you guys can email me. All of my information is listed down below in a pinned comment. If you guys made it to the end of the video, please leave me your favorite Christmas emoji because Christmas just passed. We are in the new year and I couldn't wish you guys a Merry Christmas because I was sick. So leave me your favorite Christmas emoji down in my comment section below and I will see you guys at the next video. Bye.